And we should be live. Okay. So hey guys, how you doing? This is the Fourcast, and this is, I believe, show 13. Am I correct, guys?
Yep.
Is this show 13? This is show 13. And
Wow.
I guess the 13 is a bad luck number, at least for the Pope, because he's dead. And so here we are. And it's not the big story. He's probably been dead for like 6 months. But we do have a huge story about Team SEAL 6. And this was reported on Gary Frenchie. He was on YouTube with it. He didn't get shut down with it. We're going to play little bits and pieces of this that I think is going to blow your mind. And then the other big story is Ripple. Okay, Ripple buys Hidden Road. Hidden Road. Gee, doesn't that sound a little bit like Silk Road when Bitcoin was the big deal back in the day? I see some correlations starting to happen there. You notice how things just correlate? Just to basically give you a little breadcrumb. You have to be able to read the breadcrumb. Why would it be called Hidden Road, Silk Road? Sounds too many similarities, don't you think, guys? All right, and welcome to the show, guys. Welcome to the show, Laura, Mike, and Lisa. And I think we have an incredible video for you with Gary Frenchie. I called it the big story because it's got. Look, yesterday I was watching it. It had 13,000 retweets. I put it out there. It went to 17,000 retweets. I'm probably, responsible for a few thousand for sure retweets, and people are picking it up. It should have 117,000 retweets. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's up to you guys to pick up the story now. It's in the link, and you get that link and go crazy and put it out there because.
Well, Mel, I've got it here. You just need to.
I will do that right now in a second. Yes. Yeah. So let me set the stage for you. They got McCabe. They got yours truly, Obama, and they got Hillary Clinton and a few others. Audio. I'll let the video explain for itself. It's pretty wild. Here we go. Welcome to the show, guys.
Okay, this is a long video. It's 30 minutes. We're not going to watch the whole thing, obviously, but we're going to watch the first highlights of it. So here we go.
My friends, we have a bombshell news report, a whistleblower, a CIA whistleblower, dropping hard evidence that implicates Biden, Obama, Hillary, Brennan, that they actually executed SEAL Team 6 and covered it up, and there is audio, video, and documentary proof. Now, before I get into this, if you're new here, go ahead and tap that red button down below to subscribe, then hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when the latest news breaks. Now, Anna Kate, she'll be joining me in just a moment. She tweeted out yesterday, and now the story is going viral across the web. She said, breaking, Alan Harrow Perot, CIA whistleblower, tells Charles Woods, the father of Tyrone Woods, who was killed in Benghazi, that Obama and Biden sent $152 billion as a cover-up for the deaths of SEAL Team 6. Allen said all of the proof will come out, documents and audio. Now, I'm going to play you the video that's attached here. Okay, video of the whistleblower's own words. But first, let's get some background. Kerry Donovan from DJHJ Media reports that the full interview of the CIA whistleblower interviewed by Charles Woods and Nicholas No surfaced on Sunday, where the three talk about the blackmail extortion of $152 billion sent to Iran to cover up the deaths of SEAL Team 6 by the Obama administration. Perot has extensive experience with the intelligence community, and he's planning on releasing the documents this week, and what he said are going to uncover numerous crime sprees. Now, I personally have confirmation that the whistleblower evidence is now in the hands of a member of Congress with the means to take action. And Perot said, of the evidence, a heavy price has been paid for what we are uncovering, and millions of people want to see. The truth has to come out. Yes, the truth has to come out. Let's take a look now at the whistleblower before we get to Anna. We'll be right back with Anna after this.
You think he'd know not to lie about something so obvious. He said it was a Muslim burial at sea. Nonsense. And so this big lie that you see, Biden, Hillary, and Clinton worked this agreement with Iran. They trusted Iran to move bin Laden to Pakistan. He did. He was there. But then they trusted Iran to keep him there. They moved him out back to Iran. And then the communication from Iran to Obama was, hey, we got your neck in a noose. Give us all this money. $152 billion, $2 billion on an airplane pallet was paid out for the secrets I wish to reveal now and to the president under the terms of misprision and treason. That is to say, this is a secret. These are secrets worth $152 billion paid by President Obama, and Vice President Biden paid with the blood of SEAL Team 6 when he had them killed.
So it's blackmail and extortion then.
Blackmail and extortion.
Now,
Iran commandeered.
You have the documents to prove
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Now,
Iran. Yes, sir.
well, I was going to ask you, if you have those documents, are you willing to personally deliver those to President Trump if he were to provide the transportation and the guarantee of safety for you to do that?
Well, I'm not concerned about safety. There's always an invisible hand that protects us, and we're on the winning team. America's on the winning team.
Not one sparrow falls to the ground outside of God's will.
Yes. It would be my pleasure and my honor to bring this material to President Trump. There's a massive amount, terabytes, documents, video, audio. It needs to go to the president.
I will do everything that I can to get this video.
And now joining me is Anna Kate. Anna has personally seen and heard the evidence firsthand. She was there when the information was transferred to a person of influence in the United States government. Anna, break this all down for us. This is huge news. What are the implications for Obama, Hillary, Brennan? What did you hear on those audio recordings?
First of all, thank you, Gary, for having me on. I want to say this is the most explosive information that Americans and the entire world will ever hear. I have to say these men are heroes. Alan, Charles, Nick, they are American heroes. It's an honor to even be a part of this. I was not expecting this at all. I was attending American Priority Conference in Florida. We're at Trump Doral, and they were the last ones to speak. Save the best for last, because shockingly, they gave this presentation, dropped this Benghazi bombshell on all of our heads, and we're all wondering what in the world just happened. I came up to honor these wonderful men. They're Christian men. They're spirit-filled men. As a Christian, I wanted to honor them as American patriots and heroes. And they basically said, "Hey, we need someone to help release this right now. Would you help us?" And so I jumped on the bandwagon. We got to my room right away, put the stuff out there. They showed me a lot of the documents. I heard the audios. I heard even more audios this morning. Gary, it is explosive. The audios that they have, I can't mention some of the names, but I'll tell you the biggest names in intelligence, the biggest names in the Obama administration, Brennan, Clinton. There's so much. It ties into Joe Biden. There is so much here. What this administration has done is absolute treason. Now, we all know, and not all of us actually in America are aware, that something was wrong with Benghazi. Okay, there were red flags there, and there was big red flags with SEAL Team 6 who took out Osama bin Laden. It was interesting timing right before Obama's reelection, how this bin Laden raid happened. But turns out that all of these stories, they're all linked together. This is the best kept secret in this country until now. It is time to come forward, and I'm so blessed that this man, Alan, who has an extensive history in the Middle East, over 20 years working intelligence in the Middle East, who, regrets some of the things that he has done, but has come forward as a Christian saying it's time to release this information. He has.
Okay. All right. So we're getting some feedback that this is an old video from 2016. And nothing about Melbourne. You're muted. We can't hear you.
Actually is, but it's been resurfaced.
So the question is, why did it resurface yesterday?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Because now we can put the audio and put people in that room talking specifics about doing away with SEAL Team 6. That's the difference between 3 years ago, 4 years ago when it resurfaced. So I remember it surfacing then, but the only difference now is the fact that it's got audio to it. We can place Obama, McCabe, Biden, Hillary Clinton, and others at the scene of the crime. That's the big difference.
Right. Well, that, and then the question is the Trump administration going to do anything about it? I mean, it's Alan Perrott or Perot or whatever his name is. Some people think he's JFK Jr. He's not.
No.
He's a little bit of a weirdo, but he does have some contacts. He does apparently have some inside information. So I guess the question now is, what's this a precursor to? Is this going to be something where they are now going to move forward and start arresting people around this, or what do we think's happening?
They just arrested the judge, right? They just arrested a judge. I think you know the story. You can, if you do, or if Elisa, if you have the details on that story, or anybody who does, Laura, you can go ahead and I'll give you guys the floor. And Gary Frenchie was at the White House yesterday, and as Donald Trump is getting off the airplane, or the helicopter rather, he basically said, "Hey, is this a sign of things to come? Are we going to arrest more people, etc., more judges?" And he's basically said, the Supreme Court now has to step in. And we have that clip as well. I guess we can go get that.
Yeah, so if this guy's visiting the White House, that means that this is back on the front burner again now after 6 years or whatever it's been. And the other thing that that's relevant here, the judge was arrested for violating federal law. The judge helped and told people how to help get illegal aliens escape ICE. That's a federal crime. They got picked up, and I'm hearing all this garbage about how, this is so beyond the pale and outside of norms, and this thing is never done. Well, guess what? Beyond the pale and outside of the norms ended when you guys raided the First Lady's panty drawer at Mar-a-Lago. So once that happened, everything's on the table. And you know what? Typical leftists, they can dish it out, but they can't take it.
Yeah, well, here's what I did. I put the link in the live chat on my Rumble, on my X, and also on my YouTube. You guys should do the same because we want this thing to grow very, very quickly, and we want it to go hyper viral. We want to help Gary Frenchie because now we have voices. We can place people at the scene of the crime. There's no doubt that a voice expert could say yes conclusively that is, because we could do a voice analysis comparison side by side with high-tech equipment, and we can have it that will verify beyond a shadow of a doubt that that's what it is.
I mean, Laura, what do you get from this? Is this something that you think is boiling up now, or what's happening?
Well, yeah, I think it's all boiling up. I just think more and more exposure of all of this and everything is happening. I mean, look at this Bezos space flight thing. Isn't he suing Katy Perry? What's going on with that? I just feel like everything's coming up to the surface. Everything
with the fake, visiting the cosmos.
Yeah.
Okay. That whole thing was.
I don't mean to shift gears. I'm just trying to wrap my head around so much of this right now.
Yeah.
But it's all coming to the surface. Like everything about the North Node, with a triangulation with Uranus and Pluto. Uranus is all about truth, and the moon is right next to it right now. And in these harmonious aspects, and with Pluto also connected to Neptune, everything that's been hidden is being revealed. Before, the planetary aspects were in more challenging alignments, and it was easier to pull off psyops and false flags. But when they do the big whammies like they did in 2019 with the pandemic, and rattles everybody to their core, it's like every psyop from this point forward, every old psyop that's coming back up to the surface for reevaluation is now under the scrutiny of people that are functioning from a much higher awareness. Despite all these attempts to socially engineer, it's cracking and breaking big time. It just, because the body and the being can no longer contain such falsity. And so I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I don't know.
I also think that, we're living like a double timeline or whatever you want to
Double
call it.
reality. Yeah, like a double reality.
Yeah, because all of this stuff came up. Us in the know, who followed it, who did the research, who were all connected together 4 years ago, 5 years ago, right? It was new news, and it was what we were following and knew, and we're trying to tell other people about, particularly the unawakened, right? And we were crazy. We didn't know what we were talking about. Where do you get your information? I didn't see it on the news. And now all this stuff is coming up again. So this is what they are talking about when they say the movie. And to Laura's point, I think now that people may, like you say, because of what's going on astrologically and with the earth and the frequency upgrade that has happened, now people might be able to take it. Now, I think, in my opinion, and you guys can agree or disagree, that a lot of what we're seeing already happened or occurred. And so this is the time when people that were not in the know and don't believe that things really happen behind the scenes, that this is for them to be able to witness it. And that's why you have all these things that are resurfacing, right? We talked about the Pope, like, we don't know for a fact, but if you go by your visceral feelings about this kind of thing, how did all those, I think it was 2020, maybe, forgive me on a year or so that I might be off, but remember during COVID and the pandemic, when we heard that all of these cardinals died of COVID. Did they die of COVID? Were they taken out? The Pope. So I'm listening to so many people. Oh, I got up and I watched the funeral, right? Well, okay, but he, in my estimation, he's been dead for a long time. Everything has meaning, the dates,
like Osama bin Laden. Yeah,
exactly. So I think it's like this resurfacing that's happening, and hopefully this is the time where now the show is bringing forth. I wanted to ask you guys a question. I didn't watch the funeral, but I heard, did anybody see what President Trump wore? I heard he wore blue.
Yeah, he wore a dark blue suit, which they actually photoshopped to make it look much brighter blue than it actually was. It was a very dark navy blue.
Do we know why? Like, is there a?
He doesn't wear black. He doesn't wear black, and the thing is,
he wore it at one of his rallies. He had black on one time.
He rarely wears black. Let's rephrase it then. But he did. They did say, oh, well, everyone was requested to wear black suits, and only Trump didn't. But then there's a wider angle of the same picture, and you see about a dozen guys wearing dark blue suits. Okay. So that's nonsense. And they just did it again to try to embarrass him or convince him that he's outside the norm. But the meaning of it very well could be that you wear a black suit when you're at a funeral ceremony for a dead Pope. It could imply this guy wasn't ever actually the Pope, or this guy is not really the Pope, or this guy's been dead for a year. And my big question is, you also saw the pictures of him in the open casket with the adrenochrome bruises on the side of his face. Is that what it came from, or did they use the dead Pope hammer on him? Maxwell silver hammer.
Or was he wearing a $67,000 dollar mask? I mean, if you want to look like Mel Carmine and you're willing to pay $67,000, you could get a mask.
But why would you put all those bruises on the side of his face if it was a mask? So it wasn't up to the standards of the Bush funeral, where for comms and communications and obvious things going on, but it was a little bit. There was a little bit of that stuff going on. So we had some weirdness there for sure.
No question. So what did you think of Melania wearing complete black with a black thing and over her head? I mean, that was weird.
It's appropriate when she wore the veil. It's the same thing she and Ivanka wore when they visited the Pope during the first administration back in 2017. They wore black. I believe I don't really know what that symbolizes, but apparently it's something that's okay for non-Catholics to wear. Are you supposed to wear black when you visit the Pope? I don't know.
Well, Melania is Catholic, so
There's that famous picture, of Melania and Ivanka smirking at him, like,
Yeah.
we got you, SOB, right?
If we want to go down, the rabbit hole, maybe when they first visited him was a symbol that maybe he was dead or taken out. And then this time at the quote funeral, maybe it does tie in with the end of the financial system, that's dead when the quote, the Pope died. I mean, I think there's probably a lot of symbolism, even though it seems pretty innocent. And even with, Trump, I mean, they always vilify or have something to say no matter what he does. But maybe it's also, if you think of PSYOP wise, maybe it's to draw attention to certain things so that people like us take a deeper dive into what those comms or breadcrumbs might actually mean. And
yeah, so I have the pictures now of the smirks from the two women meeting the Pope, and Donald Trump on that occasion in 2017 wore a black suit, and he didn't wear a black suit this time. So what does that mean? I think Mel, if you share my screen, we can look at it.
You got to put it up, and then I'll be able to share it.
Okay, what are we looking at? Yeah, share this tab instead. So, you can do it. Yeah. So see, Trump wore a black suit when he met him in 2017. Maybe he was still the Pope then, and maybe he wore a blue suit because he was no longer the Pope by the time he died, like that he had been replaced. Because that whole Trump World Tour in 2017, that was all about telling all these royals, "You're out, you're out, you're out," kind of like he did with Zelensky the other day. So interesting stuff. I don't know.
This was from the picture taken through the capitulation tour. Is that what this is?
Capitulation tour, yeah. When they went to see the Pope, and then we even go back. There's the smirk. This one here. Look at the smirks on their faces as they meet, as Ivanka and Melania meet the Pope. They're like, yeah, okay. I don't know. It's hard to know what it means.
now the visit to the Vatican back on the capitulation tour, was that the second? Did he went to Israel first and then he went to the Vatican? I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember the order, but it was Israel, Saudi Arabia,
Saudi Arabia was
Vatican, Saudi Arabia, where he was basically crowned the king. They gave him the Sword of Swords, the Arabian Excalibur or whatever it was. And then the Vatican, and then he went to England, where he walked in front of the Queen at the Queen's behest, showing that he was the superior. So, a lot of weird stuff happened then. Laura, you got any thoughts on this?
A lot of parts of this movie.
I'm just thinking about the guy who fell out of the Buckingham Palace window right now. Sorry.
Yeah.
This weird stuff. When you say weird stuff, I'm just flashing on just the weirdness of it all.
I think that was supposed to be a clip from a movie or something.
I don't know. No, look, that's what they do, though.
The naked guy climbing out the window at Buckingham Palace. Yeah.
That looked very real to me.
Yeah.
It was instantly taken down, almost like the UFOs hovering over the Capitol taken down. Like, no, that's not on Google Earth. Oh, nothing to see here.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, but yeah, no, I'm just listening and taking it all in. And it's, to me, all theater with a lot going on behind the scenes. And there's a lot of characters that aren't really who they are or were, that are in character, like Biden and everybody else. It's just it's just a theater show.
What other parts of the movie
to be able to see through and see the signs and just read between the lines and live between the lines.
What other parts of the movie are going to unfold that we haven't seen yet, that you sort of can predict that, hey, this might happen next? Do you guys see anything in that realm?
I mean, I would have to say that it's questionable when some of the local takedowns, like, is that really happening now? Did some of it already happen? But I think we're going to at least visually see more of the local, whether it's the judges, right? I mean, I think judges was trending like crazy on X yesterday. So I think we're going to see more of that. We may see law enforcement, right? We're going to see local law enforcement, because we know that these guys not all of them, obviously, but the bad guys, the bad ones in these professions.
Dirty cops.
Arenas.
The dirty cops, yeah.
The dirty cops, right? We're certainly not saying law enforcement people are all dirty. They're out there risking their lives. But I think we're going to see more of the local. Now, the question is, which is always my question, did it happen? Is it Memorex? Are we really seeing it for what's happening or not? And I just don't know if we're really going to ever have those answers 100%, but it begs the question, and this is just common sense for me, if anybody was truly that deeply involved in really big treasonous acts, heavy duty money laundering, and, hurting the little ones, I just don't think they just were allowed them. I think they scooped those guys up a long time ago, got rid of them, either had central casting, so that now we could play it out for the normies. Are there pockets maybe that they've had to go locally to let them present themselves? And maybe, but if someone was involved in big stuff across the board, I just don't see them, not taking these guys out and defunding them under the executive orders. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like for you to go back to the video and start playing it from the 15-minute mark, if you don't mind, Mike. And then
Sure.
I'll up. And if you're just getting here, we're talking about the money that was transferred over to Iran by the Obama administration in the billions and the pallets. Okay. And we're talking about that we now have people at the scene of the crime with audios talking about the demise of SEAL Team 6. And we can place Obama, Hillary, McCabe, Biden, a bunch of them at the scene of the crime, undoubtedly. So,
okay, it's queued up at 15 minutes, ready to go.
Okay, there we go.
Specifically to Charles Woods, which I'm sure the congressman will speak to as well. So the implications of this is treason. Hang them. I'm sorry, I'm a Christian, but you are a treasonous traitor. Gallows, hang on the own gallows that you have set for us, our Americans. This is you in America. We protect our military men. We protect them. We don't let them die. We don't call off search and rescues. We don't call off CCO missions to rescue them out of Benghazi. This is absolutely disgusting. And I have a feeling that the mainstream media is not going to want to cover this, but they're going to have no choice because this information is already viral. That's why we released it last night. It went viral. The American people want to know what's going on, what has happened under our noses, how much were we lied to. We want to know the truth. It's time to know the truth. And Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration have known that there is a chance that this will come out. There is a hot chance this will come out. And that is why they never wanted President Trump to win. He wasn't supposed to win, according to them. They were trying to steal it from him. That's why they're trying to impeach him. That's why they're doing anything, even crashing an economy with a pandemic, COVID, to make sure that he doesn't get reelected. He will get reelected in Jesus' name. And when these documents do come out, when the congressman asks to hold hearings, subpoenas will come out. I'm ready. I don't know if you got your popcorn ready, Gary, but I got my popcorn ready for justice in this country. This 2020 has been crazy, but hopefully it's full of justice.
And I want to look at your Twitter here. You say a member of Congress received a majority of the documents last night. You also said a well-respected general that you all know and love said everything that came out is spot on. So you have a high-ranking general who's confirmed all of this already.
Yes, this high-ranking general confirmed it with Charles Woods. He spoke to Charles Woods this morning and said everything that you have released is spot on. This general is going to be named, I'm not going to mention his name, but a lot of people know who he is. He's very well loved. So spot on. Hopefully this is the October surprise people have been rumoring about for years, but this is it, Gary. This is it. And that's why I want to ask everyone that's watching right now to share this information with anyone that you can, your liberal friends, your lefty friends. Let them have a moment to break this down in their minds before it explodes on them on national television. And I hope it does. I don't see how they can get away from this, Gary. There's, first of all, I have to say, with the amount of audios that I have heard, they cannot can't have any excuses. There is no justification for what was caught on audio, pictures, documents that John Brennan signed. There's too much information for them to deny that this happened. Way too much. So I don't think it's a surprise that Kamala Harris pushed, getting rid of nooses and for treason after the Jussie Smollett case. I don't think it's a coincidence that all happened. We're about to have the most insane revelation of American history treason, the biggest that we've ever experienced in this country.
Now, what do we know about the whistleblower himself and how he got the information, his role in it all? I understand that he was actually a falconer. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah, how cool is this, Gary? He was a falcon trainer. I mean, who does that? He's a falcon trainer. I can't tell you much about him, but I will say this. He has been working in the Middle East for over 20 years, has very high level connections in the Middle East. And as you could tell by watching his video, he looks like a wizard. But he has to blend in. So he's very credible. The Obama administration know very, very well who he is. They're very familiar with him. Now, these recordings were literally recorded by Alan. Some of them were not, but most of them were phone calls, conversations, documents that he was privy to because he's working in the Middle East, and he has a lot of this information for a long time. But I will say the phone calls that I have heard, the majority of them are Alan on the phone with these congressmen and very high intelligence agencies.
So some more background, Anna. Perot said that a double agent provided DNA.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reason why we're sharing the story here, guys, is because we really depend on you, the American people, that know the truth. This is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help us God. We got the smoking gun. This video was out there 3.5, 4 years ago. I remember seeing it, but now they could place the people at the scene of the crime. If you're just joining us late here, they basically got the audios. They got people in the room. We could place them at the scene of the crime. This is irrefutable evidence. We need these big dominoes to fall because this will take down the whole fucking thing. And we're here to burn the whole fucking thing down to the fucking ground.
Mellow out, Mel.
Yeah. Well, I've been at this for 37 years. There ain't nobody more impatient than Mel Carmine. I promise you.
Yeah, it's time to act. It's time to get moving forward. It's time to start putting some of these guys in cuffs and chains and perp walking them. Yeah, I agree.
Well, the crimes are treasonous and they are punishable by what? According to the law, not Mel Carmine. Not what Mel Carmine wants.
Well, the
death.
capital punishment is what you would.
Okay. American people want to see heads fucking roll.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. What was it? Hochstetter on Hogan's Heroes, the SS major. Heads will roll. It's about time.
Yes.
But you guys, they've been demonized. Like they're not. They've been. I mean, this sadism and this, demonization. The way that they get the drugs in the system of people that disassociate to the point where demons take over. I mean, it's like the demons doing, because humans don't know how to act in this level of evil.
Right.
It's like literally a body snatch. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers on steroids here.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, if you got an Obama, a Hillary Clinton, a McCabe, a Biden, if he's still around, if they're just going to use the clone just to humor the American people, because a lot of you people are going to be humored because we are in a what, Elisa? What is this called?
This is a war.
No, besides a war. You said it earlier.
Oh, a show. We're in a movie.
This is a central casting.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in a movie. Okay, and Donald Trump has said we could make an hour compilation video of Donald Trump saying central casting. Okay, just like he says 17. Okay, you got to be able to read between the lines. That's why we are appealing to you, the American people, to take the darn video. It's a 30-minute, very powerful video. It's been resurfaced, but now we can add voices to it, and you got to move it forward. You got to sprinkle it out there to everybody that's of like minds, and get this out there. And tomorrow, I want to see 117,000 retweets, because that's exactly what it deserves.
Yeah.
Yep.
You agreed, guys? Or just
absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. What's the next issue, man? We gonna talk about Ripple or what?
Well, Ripple, again, we're going to go back to the story. Silk Road, and they're buying a company. What's the name of the company called again?
Hidden Road, actually.
Hidden Road, yeah. Hidden
Yeah.
Road, Silk Road. Sounds familiar. Are we regurgitating the same old stuff so that you guys could sort of put the breadcrumbs together? Obviously, Silk Road we use for a lot of shady things, but we're moving into a different kind of road now. And is this going to be a deja vu, but in a good way, where Ripple, who has become now part of the Treasury, and they're going to use the RLUSD. RL arguably could be called Ripple Labs, or it could stand for Real RL, Real United States Dollar. Which one is it? I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's Ripple Labs USD. I agree with you. I think that's what it is. But yeah.
Okay, it's not real US dollar.
Well, no, it's what you could RSD would be real US dollar. RLUSD, what context does it have besides Ripple?
It's got a couple of letters missing in the middle. It's sort of like, what's that show with that girl that turns the letters?
Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune.
There you go. See, I don't watch television. That's how you know.
I don't watch Vanna White. Why do I know her name?
That's how you know.
I've been watching Vanna White since she was
babysitter watched it
a long time ago. All right, so you want to play the video?
Yeah.
About the acquisition.
Another video coming?
Yeah, I've got it in. Got it ready.
There we go.
All right, there we go. Let's listen to this. This is only about 3 minutes.
Ripple just dropped $1.25 billion to buy Hidden Road, which is a prime brokerage that handles over $3 trillion in transactions a year. This is one of the largest deals to ever happen in the digital asset space, and a lot of people still don't understand how massive it is. So Hidden Road serves over 300 institutional clients who process 50 million transactions and $10 billion a day. And now they're going to be moving their settlement operations onto the XRP ledger. Just think about that for a minute. Switching from traditional systems that take 24 hours to settle to the XRP ledger that settles in seconds, it's a massive step forward for financial institutions that are going to be using the XRP ledger for exactly what it was built to do. The efficiency jump is massive. With the XRP ledger's instant settlement compared to traditional markets operating in 24-hour clocks, this is a complete transformation of how institutions are going to be able to handle post-trade operations. Hidden Road is processing more money every day than a lot of blockchains handle in months. And now, all that volume is set to move on to the XRP ledger infrastructure. Hidden Road is integrating Ripple's stablecoin, RLUSD, as collateral across all of its products. That makes RLUSD the first stablecoin to enable cross-margin between crypto and traditional markets like Forex futures and fixed income. Prime brokers serve as trusted intermediaries that the largest financial institutions depend on. And now, one of them is about to run on the XRP ledger. Ripple's really transforming from being just the infrastructure layer with the XRPL and RLUSD to become the execution layer for institutional derivatives trading. They're building a complete financial ecosystem that includes clearing, prime brokerage, and financing across multiple asset classes. Each transaction on the XRP ledger requires XRP. Each client using Hidden Road services needs RLUSD for collateral. Simple supply and demand comes into effect, and as usage grows, so does the need for both assets. If even a fraction of Hidden Road's volume moves onto the XRP ledger, that creates an unprecedented demand for XRP. And so we're talking about potential for price action, stabilization, and growth through actual utility. Instead of just being used for payments, RLUSD can now function as a funding asset, a margin asset, and potentially a settlement layer across crypto and traditional markets. It's connecting some of the biggest players in both traditional and crypto finance. This deal now gives Ripple a huge stack to offer: a regulated trading network, a stablecoin with real utility, a ledger with institutional grade settlement speed, a way to scale volume onto the XRP ledger, and financial institutions and funds that need clearing and settlement. So now Ripple offers an end-to-end solution, from trade execution to financing to settlement, all powered by XRP and RLUSD within the same ecosystem. When a company spends over $1 billion during some uncertain economic times, they're not taking a gamble. They're confident in what's coming next. And skeptics have said for a long time that XRP would never see real institutional use. Well, guess what? Ripple literally owns a pipeline that moves over $3 trillion a year, and it's about to be plugged directly into the XRP ledger. So Ripple just showed their hand, and it looks like they're betting big on XRP and RLUSD becoming essential tools in the future of global finance.
Beautiful. And
Okay.
listen, here's the argument, and I think it's a good argument, right? The XRP army versus the Bitcoin Nancy's and the Ethereum Nancy's and all these other tokens out there. Everybody's got their favorite horse that they bet on. Everybody wants to see their horse win, obviously. But it's a known fact that the XRP army is the most astute, the most educated cryptocurrency army out there. Now, look at this. If XRP was really the banker's token, why would Jamie Dimon, the king of banking, okay, go to his friends on Wall Street and try to stop this thing, and then slap him with a lawsuit through his friends in the SEC if this was a banker token? Because when you own the XRP, you in essence have become your own bank.
Yeah.
This is not a banker's token. This is a humanitarian token. And anybody who owns
People's token.
and 30 cents and $2.30. How many Bitcoins would you buy knowing that Bitcoin hit 108,000 plus?
Yeah.
If you can go back in 2009 when it all happened, okay, at 0.0008 of a penny, how many Bitcoins would you buy at 0.0008 or at $2.30, which is the price of XRP today? How many would you have?
I'd sell an organ to.
How many of your kids would be on the street corner selling fucking lemonade to raise the fucking money?
Right. And the thing is, Mel, this is the interesting thing too, is it's not only the people's token, but if it's going to be used like this for financial transactions, which is exactly what we always said in XRP land was going to happen. Here's the thing. Settlements in seconds. You know what that means and why the bankers are against it? That's the end of usury. No more holding on to Elisa's money when she tries to send me $1,000 through a bank transfer or some other funding mechanism. No more holding her $1,000 in an escrow account for 24 hours while we make interest off of it before we let Mike have it and take, that interest and never share it with either one of us. So that is the end of that. It's the beginning of the end of usury in the Western banking system. And that is the most positive thing next to eliminating income taxes I could think that we could possibly do for the financial future of the world.
Yeah, this is the most exciting time to be alive simply because, look, yes, it's taken a lot longer than we all wanted it to, right? There's no question about it. They're making us sweat bullets. That should tell you everything.
Right. But XRP should be...
They are moving heaven and earth. They're moving mountains. They're moving Wall Street. They're moving institutional SEC illegal corporations that have nothing to do with being federal or being part of the United States government. And they're moving heaven and earth to make sure you don't get the XRP.
Yep.
Am I making myself clear?
Yep. So the question is, why isn't XRP moving higher? And what's suppressing this? Because this is a huge deal.
Well, the cake is not ready yet. The delay was very real. The lawsuit was very real. The kicking the can down the road. And when you thought the lawsuit was settled, it's going to take another 90 days because of this, and that. Another bullshit story on top of another bullshit story on top of another bullshit story. And they've been kicking the can an extra year conservatively down the road to settle this thing finally once and for all because they're not ready yet. But Donald Trump seems to be hinting at something. June, July, he said, we're going to be the biggest crypto nation in the world. So if I was you, I would take advantage. I would go get as many side hustles as possible. I would do whatever it takes at $2.30. You're going to look back at these times and say, oh my God, you mean to tell me that I could have went and got a part-time job, or I could have started some business on the internet or sell some chocolate chip cookies or whatever it is you got to sell short of your ass?
Yep.
Okay. And I could have bought XRP at $2.30. Yes.
Yep.
Is that what they call assets? Sorry.
Assets. I meant to say assets.
Yeah, I know this is a pretty butt-oriented program today. We got assets and Uranus and God, come on.
Sorry, guys. We're digressing here a bit. But I just feel like the theater is getting more ridiculous as people are getting stronger in their awakening. It's just they're trying to keep the trajectory of all things. If you look at the roots of the fake moon landing or 9/11 or just Katrina, just, what is the next level of all these different kinds of events that they will, throw another one at us to trick us into thinking it's real. It no longer is sticking. It's no longer sticking, and everything's going down the drain. All these drains are being swamped because, people are awakening. It's not just an administration. It's the people. So I feel like all that you guys are talking about with the financial is making its way up as it makes its way up through the rubble that's crashing down. But the heaviness of moving through the rubble is what's taking so long, because it's still like clearing it out of the way. We're destroying, and the deep state, it's crumbling a whole empire, like empires that have spread its tentacles all around the world. It's a huge thing to, dismantle.
Yeah. It's also like if they're getting rid of a lot of people, they don't want any of this to fall in the wrong hands, right? Like it was. So a lot of it's going to be in the timing of making sure, even though we're frustrated as heck and, we keep going from date to date. And I think some of this holdup is not, in my opinion, not just the deep state, but it's, the white hats, the good guys saying the timing has to be right so that all of this wealth ends up in the right hands. And we have to still clean up wherever we can so that, the old guard, the evil ones are not there to participate.
And you're going to have a lot that act like they're all about this shift and change, that are plants, that are just there to be disruptors. I mean, we see that still. I mean,
and they're being paid to be disruptors, aren't they?
Yeah.
It blows me away. You just said earlier, Laura, the moon landing was fake. We have no idea whether the Earth is flat, round, concave. We have no idea if it's bigger, smaller than what it is. We have no idea about our own freaking ocean. We have no idea about fuck all, nothing. And yet we keep paying into a system through taxation of property taxes, which means you don't own your property, guys. Even if you're a multimillionaire and you got a $50,000 a year tax burden to the local county for your home, and you don't pay those taxes, guess what happens to your $8 million home? Somebody else owns it, and it's not you. Okay, so we pay taxes. Part of that money goes into a school system to have a bunch of teachers who don't know fuck all, about nothing, teaching your kids a bunch of fuck all, about nothing. And we're paying for a bunch of fuck alls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anybody out there?
No, I got nothing to add to that. I mean, what do you want me to say? You got nothing. You're muted, Elisa.
You're paying for your kids to be bullshitted.
Yep.
You're learning nothing.
Well, people are, listen, it took a lot of events over the last couple of years for people to realize just what they're teaching and indoctrinating these kids with. And I think COVID, one of the good things that came out of everybody being locked up in their houses and kids not going to school is that parents were actually able to hear what these kids were being told, in their classes. I remember walking past my daughter's room when she was on, virtual, and quite honestly, the reverence and one of the most wonderful people, was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I was literally walking by and backed up, and that was just a small piece of what was being said. Right. And so I think people had to get, listen, I would like them to have gotten slapped in the face, or get a bucket of ice over the head. I don't know. You could get a heart attack that way. So maybe that's not the smart way to do it. But all of these things, people are starting to realize. And, Mel, and Mike and Laura, I had suggested that maybe we do a show, whether it's on here or we figure out a way to do it, talking about this birth certificate situation and the money that all of us are entitled to. One of our listeners that listens to the Fourcast regularly and has followed you, Mel, for a while, it just ironically, I think I sent it to you. He sent me, some information about this. I hadn't even talked to him about it, so it might be in the ether that we're supposed to take a look at that, because that's another way that we've been completely screwed.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. They weaponize the growth periods of humanity, the shifts in consciousness. They weaponize it through psyops and false flag events to trip us up. So we can either upgrade in the face of that challenge and adversity, like you said, and recognize like, okay, how can we leverage this? Okay, well, the ones that are waking up don't realize that they can leverage it by listening to their children, like you said, and looking more deeply, because it's sort of like when you're in a relationship and something really like terrible happens, you have a chance to process, am I going to give my power away more, my self-worth away more to this person who's abusing me, or am I going to see that as a red flag and begin to wake up and find myself and find my truth and authenticity? Because everything comes back to the integration of polarity in our true divine blueprint, because that's what's been fragmented. That's what they want to keep fragmented. So even on the most micro scale into the macro, it's this constant weaponization of these major alignments and events that are taking place that are shifting us away from the system. But we wouldn't know unless there was a catalyst, because people really just needed that catalyst to shake themselves loose. If you got ensnarled even further, the breaking point might be more painful and more brutal, but once you get it and you break that mind control, you de-weaponize the weapons, because we're ultimately way more powerful than any of these weapons. And that's the beauty of like our dormant DNA, is that it can alchemize and break this all down in our own system when we stop hooking ourselves into where it overtakes the mind, which becomes the epigenetics that talks to the body, the programmings that make us sick, that lower our immunity, that keep us locked into that 5G, where all the frequency bioweapons, begin to like overtake the system to the point of, being dependent on the medical industry for the rest of your life, or death. But the minute you break that mind control, all of a sudden your body starts to activate a response that actually can remove it. You spiritualize your body and it's gone. And I've seen it. I saw it happen to my father. It's just like.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So, I think though, I things moving ever so slowly. What do you think of the fact that Donald Trump is trolling everybody now and telling them that he's going to be running in 2028? I don't think he's trolling them. I think he's actually going to run in 2028.
Yeah, I do too. And the truth is that you're under a corporate constitution. So the constitution that was amended was the Constitution of the United States. The original Constitution is the Constitution for the United States. That was replaced after the Civil War. It may have been in 1871. The reality is it's an amendment for a corporation that no longer exists, or that has been bankrupted, or that simply isn't going to continue. So Donald Trump is the 19th president of the Republic. He can run for president as often as he likes. And I agree, Mel, this is sort of setting the stage for him to tell people, look, I'm going to run again in 2028 because the job's not going to be done. And what it makes me wonder, though, are we going to continue to let the normies live under the illusion of the 22nd Amendment and the 25th Amendment and all this stuff? Or are we going to actually tear the scab off, just rip off the Band-Aid and tell everybody this is what's really been going on? I'm waiting for that moment. That hasn't happened yet, but I'm hopeful we're getting closer.
Well, I'll tell you, he's selling hats that's saying that he's going to be running in 2028. I told Amber, make another hat that says I'm running in 2028 and 2032.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
But I don't know. I mean, at this point, he looks a little bit worn down. I mean, I saw him come off the helicopter yesterday. He seems like he definitely needs a med bed like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Now,
Mm-hmm.
you know that we've had a guy at the podium who's a college professor who is appointed by the administration. I can't think of the guy's name. We played that video, I believe, last week, where they're talking about, we're going to have technology in our garage that could take us anywhere in the world in less than an hour. And so, how long does it take for the other stuff to come out? You know what I mean? At this point, because I think if there's anybody that should go in there immediately, would be the commander in chief, even though I would be I would like to be one of the first ones in line. I will allow Donald Trump to cut the line, and because he's the most important guy here running the entire planet. As Elon Musk says, if the United States of America falls, the entire roof on the entire planet is coming down, and he's right about that.
Yeah.
So,
Ladies?
I mean, do you think that he's a little bit worn, or do you think that?
Well, I mean, he does look tired to me, tireder than he used to. He does look older. You know, I think he has access to medical treatments we don't know about. Not meds, maybe, but I wonder if this is something of an act. I don't know.
I was just going to say that, Mike, because, you know, again, we go back to the normies, right? They're saying, well, this guy ran in 2016 and, you know, if he doesn't age, if you will, right? You know, so that's what happens, you know, if you're not in a med bed and you're not having all kinds of treatments. So listen, not that I have no basis for this, but how do we know he's not wearing an older mask? You know, we don't know these things. There's just so much we don't know because we're part of a movie. And until they decide it's time, and, you know, not that people aren't hurting and not that we're all getting, you know, very impatient and dates have been thrown out. And then you have a lot of these knuckleheads that just keep giving like specific dates about everything, right? So that builds up hopium for a lot of people and frustration. But if you really think about a system that's been in place for thousands and thousands of years, that we've been, you know, kind of really going after this, you know, in such a military fashion over the last 8 years or so, that's not a lot of time. I mean, you know, we're frustrated because it's uncomfortable, but it's not a lot of time for all the changes that they've had to make and the
unless they accelerate the process. Laura, what's your sense? You've probably done Trump's chart. I mean, do you see him being around for quite some time to come, or do you see him, you know, leaving the stage soon? What do you think?
I think he's going to be around for a while. He's got a really powerful chart. His North Node is conjunct Uranus, and I can just pull it up right here. And there's a lot of powerful progressions as well. So his Sun, North Node, and Uranus are all conjunct each other in Gemini. Jupiter happens to be transiting right now, transiting this area of his chart, which expands everything it touches. The North Node amplifies, with Jupiter transiting the North Node, it amplifies the soul calling, the soul mission. So the soul mission is bigger and more important and more powerful than the ego, the persona, the character. The North Node is, what are we here to do on a soul level? What is our calling? So to be conjunct Uranus, Uranus is liberation, it's freedom, it's authenticity, it's connection to the higher self, it's connection with advanced technologies as well. It's not squaring anything, so it's not shadow, dark technology, transhumanism technology. And then Sun, Gemini, communication from the higher mind, and it is in harmony. It's in harmony with Neptune, Chiron, Jupiter in Libra. So and that is about spiritual healing. Whether he appears to be spiritual or not, it's healing where distortions have infected our creative channels, where psyops and false flags and all these different tactics being used on us have infected the human brain and mind and consciousness. So his words hold activations. What he will do and work, you know, what he will work with as far as the different modalities and tools and, you know, tech that isn't AI tech that could help him to live longer. He's going to bump into that. He already is. I mean, the synchronicities are connected to Uranus. It's an electrical energy connecting, you know, to this great awakening. It upgrades our DNA. So the Venus Saturn, though, squares the Neptune, Chiron, Jupiter. So it shows, and that's in his social sphere in the 11th house of friends and networking. It shows, you know, a lot of power plays, a lot of betrayal, a lot of backstabbing, a lot of distortion, a lot of difficulty. But this role that he's stepping into is a much, much higher calling than some of the entanglements of, you know, the pictures he's been taking with Epstein or this or that. It's like, well, how far did that go compared to others? Like, just because you hobnobbed with these people and look at when he was a Democrat and now what they think of him now that he's doing what he's doing. It's like he's stepping into his North Node. And that's where his Sun and Uranus always were. So he was always able to reflect on that future role that he was going to play. He was already ahead of it before he got there. I mean, he already knew his heart and soul. And sometimes that's really hard for people to step into their North Node. For him, it's not. So that's always going to hold space for him. That's always going to, help him to like have a certain level of protection that will keep him around. It's his shield, and it's the Uranus energy connects to the guardians. It connects to the highest, most benevolent forces. And whether you like the guy or not, it doesn't matter, because it takes one out of the human sphere. Whatever mistakes we make, do we want to all hold each other, in a box to with our dysfunctions of the past? We need to heal and be, accountable and work through it and make amends. But we're dealing with Satanists. We're dealing with sick criminals. We're dealing with something so much darker. Let's not get distracted by some character flaws. We're all human. Let's look at the bigger picture and what he's really here to do. And I could tell just listening to his voice, and I wasn't surprised when I saw his chart. It carries codes, it carries activations, and it riles people up in a good way. But he's also, a disruptor, not in the negative sense, but to shake everything up as a catalyst and to create what seems to be a heightened duality. But it also is going to expire because it's going to exhaust itself, and people will just want to heal and come together in love and community and rehabilitation. And he's guiding the way for sure. His chart is very powerful.
Hey, Laura, you might want to answer this guy. Again, I'm just curious. I'm not trying to embarrass Larry, but I want you to answer.
If we don't know what calendar we're in, well, I utilize the 13th sign. I use the Western chart, but there's a 13th sign. There's, a 13 moon calendar. We are still operating in the matrix, right? But we are dismantling it. The dark weaponry, the planetary grid network is recovering from the reversal grids. It's changing our physiology. It's allowing us to break down the seals and fences that were placed in our DNA that kept us from our higher galactic heritage and connection to true source energy. It puts us in divine timing and connection to cosmic and natural law. And even if the calendar doesn't change in your phone or change in the calendar that you answer to with the people around you, you can be in that rhythm and that embodiment of being in the true cycles of nature and time that is organic. And when you interact with that false matrix time, you'll begin to loosen up the grips that it has and break the chains so that it doesn't limit you and confine you and enslave you. You can actually inform it just like you can with AI. You have to just be the consciousness override frequency to that and 5G and everything else. So
yeah, and I want you to handle this one, Mike.
It shows us how to do it. Sorry, go ahead, Mel.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry, and thank you, Laura. I want Mike to handle this one here. Let's see. No, is that the one? No, that's the one. Hold on. There you go.
Question: why, if Trump has everything, what's the holdup? I don't disagree with you at all. I don't understand why we're bothering to wait. I mean, if the Democrats want to say we're having a constitutional crisis because Trump is following the Constitution and ignoring judges' orders, great, let's have it. We finally got a couple of judges arrested. I think it should move at a much faster pace. I agree with you. I don't know why they are waiting on so many things, except that I suspect that there's some financial stuff coming first. And then maybe we're going to move on to the political stuff. And remember, the political stuff can also serve as a cover for the financial stuff. If you don't want the whole world to know they could have been millionaires if they just bought the right thing 2 years ago and they didn't pay close enough attention. So I don't have an explanation, and I'm with you. I'm ready for things to get moving one way or another. I'd rather have the financial transition first and then move on to the political, but I'd really like to see it happen this year. I mean, these judges that are trying to stop the deportation agenda, just keep deporting the people. It's not a damn thing a judge can do about it. What's a judge going to do? Tell a guy in the military who's under the orders of the commander-in-chief not to put an illegal alien on a plane? No. Just keep putting them on the plane and send them out of here.
Mike, I agree with you. Oh, I agree with your assessment. And, like we said, we don't know, none of us really know, but I do think it's probably where they're trying to get everything at the same time. So you're looking at the financial world, you're looking at the political and the governance of everything. And then don't forget, we're here in the United States, right? The four of us, but they're coordinating a lot of this internationally as well. So, I think when we think about it that way, and we're not so, just looking at our own microcosm, there's a lot of coordination that needs to take place. I tend to think that the last 4 years with the, fake Biden administration, that was sort of the time of waking people up. In my opinion, I think where we are now isn't so much, even though you're still waking these people up. I don't think it's so much that agenda. I think it's the coordination of how does everything happen pretty much at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to get where we have the normies completely on our side, where there's irrefutable, irrevocable evidence that we have the goods on everybody. And then you have the fact that you have DOGE, Department of JSAR, or Department of Government Efficiency, however you want to call it. But you have this department that is uncovering the fraud that is so paramount. We have all of these agencies, Fugazi, as we call them down in Brooklyn. Fugazi means fake, okay? For you guys that are not Italian. So you got all these agencies that there's not even a place that we're renting. It's just a figment.
Again, why are we not removing more of these people from the stage? I mean, look, we all know what Anderson Cooper is guilty of, right? We all know what he is. He's made it clear. You look at his Instagram, you can see what it is he's done in the past. He's almost certainly been to Epstein Island, yet they continue to sit on the files. DC Drano in the press conference today asked, when are we going to get him? And they said, well, we're reviewing that information. So they're still stalling on this shit. Put it out.
But think about how many agencies are open that are siphoning money out of the American people through taxpayers. You got people who have 10 fictitious people that were created with 10 fictitious social security number, and the money's channeling to one person. Okay. You know how many scams there is inside the American government? I mean, we are the king of scams.
You could still arrest him on the air. Laura, what were you going to say?
I totally get it. And I'd love to happen soon. But somebody here said, and I'll put the thing here. I think he said Trump here. I'll put this there. Here we go. That's what this guy hit it on the head. That's what Trump is trying to avoid.
They're all paid protesters anyway. They're not going to show up if their lives are really in danger. Okay. They're not true believers anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you can create riots in the streets by funding false movements like Soros and Antifa, and just this. It's just not the Patriots are not non-violent intervention. I mean, it's really in the heart of most patriots,
right? And Laura, even if you look at like all of that, they've all been defunded. So if they can't fund these, these riots and all this stuff, people are going to go out there and do. I don't think maybe back in 2020, 2020, maybe then it could have been a situation of riots, but the numbers have shifted. Even if people aren't awake, they're not on the opposite agenda, right?
You have people dressing up looking like they're creating riots to look like the bad guy wearing MAGA hats, but they're not really MAGA. You remember the truckers convoy and GoFundMe, shutting down the funding, and it was nonviolent. I mean, I was just going to add though, like celebrities too. Johnny Depp's being called out. Remember, everybody's Team Johnny. Well, he's best friends with Marilyn Manson, and he's been exposed. Victims are talking on Sean Atwood's channel, and other people's channels. It's all being exposed. They're still out there. Nobody cares. They're still going to watch the next movie that they're in. They're so celebrity worshipped that they don't even care. They don't even care that they're like very, very much involved. They're still out there. I just wanted to add that when Mel was talking about, or when you guys were talking about Anderson Cooper.
Yeah.
So, the addiction to this has to end with the people, because the people have to demand this, just like they need to demand free energy. It's not just going to be handed to us. We have to know that it's out there and stand up and claim what our birthright is. And we don't have to do it through violence. We have to do it because we know it's there, or we know who's who, and we're not going to settle for it.
6,000 patents that are hiding at Wright-Patterson. You can't tell me out of 6,000 patents, you don't have 24 free energy technology, 5 different variations of flying cars. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that you don't have 18 variations of crystalline chambers or med beds that could literally reverse all the damage they did to us, and we can live to be 8,000 years old. And when I'm, 2,776, I could still have sex with like 9 babes and swing from the chandeliers, right?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that?
Oh my gosh. I might miss that party. Yeah, in a couple thousand years from now, we might be sitting here together on this round table, right?
My wife would probably not appreciate me saying that, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, if I was a single guy, I should have added if I was a single guy. I'm not a single guy, so I can't swing.
But you were speaking on behalf of somebody else that's single. No, we got it.
Yes.
But yeah, okay. Can you imagine 1,000 years from now, we're on this show number 2,000?
Yeah. All right.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming down. I'm going to hold all you guys behind because I like where the show is turning to. And I think this is a good way to really not just entertain the people, but entertain them by showing them actual facts. This is what we have. This is the latest news. This is our take on it. What's your take on it? Sharing some of the comments from the viewership. I think it's awesome. I think it's going in the right direction. And we're going to probably continue down this pattern that we see evolving right in front of our very eyes. And everybody brings something to the table. She looks at the stars and the tarot cards. I squeeze the goat's testicles. Everybody does it differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wouldn't make a habit of that, buddy. Goats can kick pretty damn hard, just so you know.
I know.
I also rely on what's within, just like, and observing and researching, digging deep, going into the rabbit holes. But yeah, we're a great team.
Yeah.
Yes. So guys, if you like this podcast, get it out there. And hopefully next week everybody brings back one person. We go from 377 people watching us right now live to double that number. And we can keep doubling because this is where the real news is. And, I gotta put out a message to Donald Trump. I mean, unlikely that it will get to him, but the reality is the microphone is the most powerful weapon we have. Okay. See, reality is, and I know that our co-hosts here will absolutely agree with me. Reality is this: there are people out there like myself. I'm going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And I'm going to do that all the time. And I show you the facts, and so will our cast here. And the reality is the people that show you real truths are not allowed to speak. The microphones have been silenced. And these things need to be unsilenced if we're going to have a real shot at winning the war. Some people know how to surf up to the gray line, and they're very intellectual. They got a team of psychologists and psychiatrists that work for them, and they're worth $800 million. I'm sorry. I'm not one of those people, at least not yet. Okay? But I will tell you this. If we could get an executive order that says the free speech ban ends now by law, and there's going to be some hefty fines, or maybe, Elon Musk could step up to the plate and buy a YouTube and a TikTok and speak freely. Because once we have this, for example, I've said this example before, and I'll say it again. If Mike Barra is talented enough to grow to 1 million subscribers, by God, do not put obstacles in Mike Barra's way. Allow him to grow to 1 million people. Allow him to get the message out. Yeah. Right? Why stifle him? Because he's telling too much truth? Come on.
We need an internet bill of rights.
Yes.
There's no question. They've talked about that for years. And
so if there's no bumps in the road and we got a level playing field, as long as you're not making terroristic threats to go, wipe out somebody, et cetera, or hurt somebody physically, you should be able to say whatever is on your mind. And if we had that kind of a platform, then we can grow unimpeded. So please, either YouTube, if you're listening, take the speed bumps off the road, because the executive order is going to come down. It's not like it's going to come down. And it's going to come down to you guys doing the right thing or losing. You don't want to lose your platform. You guys worked so hard to get to where you're at, to make this thing the number one social media platform in the world. You want to get taken away because a guy just did one stroke of a pen. You have the ability right now to take the speed bumps off the road immediately and allow us to grow unimpededly.
Yep. I miss my channels. They're all gone.
Yeah. I had a few channels.
Yeah, I often wonder how many Twitter followers I'd have if I had all 9 of my accounts back. You know,
Oh, I know.
Right.
Me too.
it's a lot.
Exactly.
me
Well, thanks
too.
to Jack Dorsey, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't Elon Musk doing that to you. I think it was Jack Dorsey.
Yeah. It was Dorsey.
Yeah. So, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. I'm going to hold you guys behind. We're going to end it now and get this out to everybody and tell them to tune in every Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same channel. Boom, we're here. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.